If Weathersfield has a main street, a commercial street, this is it, I think, here at Silas Deane Highway, that runs from South Hartford all the way through the city to Rocking Hill on the other side. And this, from what I know of Weathersfield, is where most of the retail is in Weathersfield. You're not going to find many Domino's Pizza or Starbucks coffee necessarily here. They have their own porn shop here in Weathersfield. I'm sorry, no arcade. But they actually have a porn shop here that sells DVDs. Anyways, I'm standing here across from City Hall to tell you that this is a Goodwin Square, that where the good intentions turn out and produce good results. So this is kind of Goodwin Square on the road, if you will, here in Weathersfield, just outside of Hartford. And I want to talk today about music and how one discovers music, okay? I remember being in the living room in 1973 when my parents insisted on turning on an Elvis Presley concert. And I remember them sitting there, both with big grins on their faces, watching this Elvis Presley concert from Hawaii. And I remember getting up to leave and being disgusted and insulted. And I remember my mom saying, "You don't want to see this? You might like this. You know, this is something you should watch." And I said, "No, I'm getting out of here. I ain't no hound dog, man," or something like that. And they took off. I took off for my room. Anyways, about a year later, after I subscribed to Columbia House Music, where you can get a whole bunch of music for like a penny. They'll send you albums, you know, like 15 albums for a penny. And then, of course, what I would do is get the 15 albums and just never bought anything else. And, you know, despite the obligation in the contract that you had to buy so many albums over a year or two, I just let it go. Anyways, before I let it go, I got my 15 albums. They would send you a album of the month selection, where they would just automatically ship it out unless you put on their card, "No, I don't want the album of the month." So the first album of the month selection at Columbia House was Elvis Presley, "Aloha from Hawaii." And I thought, oh my God, now they're never going to get paid. Now they're never going to get another dime from me. They think I'm going to pay for this. But anyways, I figured it's mine now, and, you know, when I don't send them any money, they'll stop sending me records, which was usually the procedure then. So I threw it on. I said, what the hell? You know, it's like, you know, I remember when he was on television, and now he's, you know, album of the month. And I tell you, a lot of artists today like to perform live or like to record live because they sound so much better and there's a natural feel to it. And I must say, once I heard Elvis Presley in Aloha from Hawaii, I never looked back. I mean, that was it. You know, hearing that voice live and the crowd, and you didn't have to watch it. It came out very, very clearly in the recording. You know, and it was just phenomenal. So once I became an Elvis Presley fan, I started looking into Elvis Presley records. And that took me from Elvis Presley in 1973, 74 to a long history of rhythm and blues and country. You know, it's funny, when I was down in Memphis, the one thing they kept harping on in all the studios, whenever Elvis was mentioned, was how he was, more than anything else, a bridge between white Pat Boone music and white people to race records and black music, which was rhythm and blues. And it was through Elvis that I found performers like Richard Penniman. Richard Penniman is Little Richard. And it was through Elvis that I found Chuck Berry. Because what I noticed on the albums is, in parentheses, usually underneath the title of a song that I would love Elvis singing, would be these guys' names. I knew Elvis didn't write. Elvis just performed. That's all he had to do. But I wanted to find out who these guys were. You know, what songs he was recording. Who these guys were. And I did. And one took me to another, took me to another, took me to another. And it took me to, all sorts of places. Memphis, the South, Muscle Shoals, parts of the country, And it was kind of auspicious, because I was finding out a lot of things about music and where it came from. And it wasn't all Donny Osmond and Marie, It was kind of a long, long history that goes back in time. And a lot of performers that I never heard of. But I tell you, once I heard from them, I was not going back. I was never going to be the same again. And so that led me on. And it was then that I discovered rhythm and blues, and that, Elvis may be it for many. But certainly in time, Elvis, was a performer. And I must say, the greatest performer I have ever seen live. But man, he had some pretty good guys behind him. And it was through him that I learned about them. Okay? While others were listening to, Lionel Richie. No, I was more interested in, Chuck Berry, Buddy Holly, some of these 50s guys, 40s guys. And then going to Memphis last year, I learned about other inspirations of Elvis, And it was in Memphis and the close recordings and studios and the musicians in Memphis, Beale Street, and the record shops, private, small little record shops, right down from his parents' house, where Elvis heard a lot of these great musicians that would be with him forever and would really transform, the entire world and bring black music and black performers into the mainstream where they were due. Credit and recognition